Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and I do welcome that bipartisan approach, and I'm grateful that we're undertaking these hearings to learn more before we seek to take action. Well, Undersecretary Lang, thank you, and I appreciate your participation today, today's hearing on behalf of the Presidential Working Group on Financial Markets. What's clear is we need legislation. We agree on that. Regardless of what some may believe, it's our job on Capitol Hill to develop legislation to direct regulatory action if there is to be regulatory action. And let me be clear, it's specifically the House Financial Services Committee that will lead this legislative effort and bring clarity to this ecosystem. Currently, there is no federal law to address digital assets. With nearly a quarter of American adults now invested in crypto, we must move quickly to put in place a framework that clearly defines the rules of the road. The good news is that Financial Service Committee Republicans have already laid the foundation for the work that must be done to maintain the U.S. as a leader in digital assets and the digital asset revolution. In fact, committee Republicans released a set of principles on the central bank digital currency question, one of which emphasized the potential that stablecoins hold if issued under a thoughtful regulatory framework. The working group report outlines a model that could be pursued. However, it does not take into account the full picture and array of options available to us. So let's break that down. We know that the Democrat debate here in Washington is focused in the last decade on de-risking the financial service arena. Beginning with Dodd-Frank, they've talked about de-risking banks in particular. And as you state in the President's Working Group report here, and as I expect many Democrats will say today, stablecoins are viewed as extremely risky. So what's the solution of this working group? How do they mitigate this alleged risk? Well, they make them all banks. They regulate them all as banks, and they give them a federal taxpayer backstop, which is completely the opposite direction we've been moving in for the last decade in Washington. We're trying to de-risk, not add risk to the federal taxpayer. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that there's zero risk, but Washington's knee-jerk reaction to regulate out of fear will not allow stablecoins to achieve their full potential and the myriad of solutions that they may be able to present. This new technology, like all financial technology, deserves appropriate and thoughtful regulatory approaches. The report also includes an analysis of the stablecoin market. Yet in this analysis, in this paper, there was absolutely no discussion of existing regulatory frameworks for stablecoin issuers at the state level. These issuers are subjected to a comprehensive set of supervisory regimes, including reserve requirements, examinations, compliance with anti-money laundering rules, and that's being done in a couple of states. We should be examining all existing federal frameworks, regulatory frameworks and structures for best practices and taking advantages of the lessons learned from those operating on the forefront at the state level. Another critical component missing from this report was the potential benefits of stablecoins, not just the risk, but the potential benefits. In this committee, we have witnessed the payments industry address shifts in customer and consumer demand and the never-ending race to move money faster, cheaper, and better. Digital currencies like stablecoins are a natural continuation of the same issues we've addressed in this committee over the years, and I might add in a bipartisan way. We cannot regulate out of fear of the future. It is Congress's role to seek solutions that directly address the risks at hand and ensure that the benefits are also part of those discussions. Requiring stablecoins to only be issued by banks would be a major obstacle for us continuing to foster innovation within this nascent industry. My friends across the aisle would like to force new products into unfitting and often inappropriate existing regulatory structures. I think we need to move forward and think of this in a new approach. And while I recognize the working group's inclination to do what has been Democrat orthodoxy, I hope that today we can think bigger and more comprehensively and discuss the potential benefits of increased use of stablecoins. The policies we develop must promote private sector innovation and foster competition to build a resilient product without creating risk in other areas. We should not, as this report does, limit our focus to only the risks. And we should not focus only at a federal structure. We should understand what's being done at the states as well. But to only focus on the risks, for instance, would be short-sighted and not allow us to realize the potential to the digital ecosystem of stablecoins and what the consumers want. So, Madam Chair, thank you. Thank you for this undertaking, and I hope we can have a thoughtful discussion about what is a really important subject matter for so many Americans and for us here on Capitol Hill. I look forward to working with you in the months to come.